Okay, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and we are here with another success story. Thank you, Pete and Embry, for being here to share all the wonderful things that have happened in our work together. So why don't you tell me why you guys came to me and why we're talking again now?
Yeah, so we have two children, and our first child, she had a medical condition, and we had to wait until 7 months for her to start sleeping through the night. Whereas most of my friends had babies and they started sleeping through the night earlier, but we had to wait. And so one of my best friends connected me to Joanna Clark, and it was literally the greatest blessing because we immediately learned all the information about sleep coaching and the science of sleep. And Joanna educated us on all the different areas of sleep so that we were able to, be comfortable with letting our baby sleep through the night. So,
Exactly. And it was a big deal because she did have a medical condition. So we had to be really careful, really conscientious, collaborate. And Pete was the coach, and that was a big deal for mom to kind of like relinquish some control, right, during the process. And Pete was like so just patient and loving, and we reached success. And so then lo and behold, what, 3 years later you had
2 years later, yeah.
two
2 years
years
later,
later you have a what,
we
baby
have
boy?
a little boy. Yes. And we knew that after about 6 months, because he was full term and almost 9 pounds being born, so we knew he was okay by weight to sleep through the night by a certain age. So we started at about 6 months, right when we could, right when it was appropriate for his age. And it was like clockwork, and he adapted to the strategies very well. And we found that starting at a young age was really effective for both children, because it taught them the skills that they needed to put themselves to sleep.
Yeah. And for Pete, what was that? Pete was also the masterful coach the second time. And what was that like for you to go through it second time, right? In general. And then also first baby had, we had to take a lot of special consideration. Second baby, we got this big, healthy boy, but you learned so much, and they were really quite different experiences, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were. I mean, Solana, because of her medical condition, she had to wake every up until 6 or 7 months. She had to wake every 2 or 3 hours to feed. So she just got in that cycle and was, even post 6 months when she could sleep through the night, she was still waking up every 2 or 3 hours. So it was challenging. I think on the second go around with Romeo, it was yeah, I mean that it felt like having a second child almost. It was just, it was the second time going through it, and without the medical condition, obviously. And yeah, just kind of jumping back in the saddle and feeling it out. And Joanna, you, I think, just lay it out so perfectly, and are there to, really hear what's going on. There were actually certain points, I think, with Romeo, I'm it's a bit of a blur because when you're not sleeping, it's a bit of a blur. But I feel like there were points with Romeo where the overall process may have actually been maybe longer than Solana, which I remember being frustrating. But Joanna, you were always there and ready to jump back on a call and walk through and hear how it went. And I think the most important thing that I did, or advice that I would give, is just keeping a really dialed in sleep log, because between that and then you being able to look at it, we tweaked it and you worked your magic, and lo and behold, sure enough, even if it took a little bit longer, he was finally sleeping. So yeah, it was great.
Exactly. And I think the other thing that's really unique is like that a lot of families will say, well, hey, if I sleep trained my first baby, surely I'll just go ahead and like kind of do the same thing. And I shouldn't really need the support again. But I think for you guys, you were like, I'm not even going to bother doing this alone. So maybe you could speak to that, like why you didn't even hesitate to reach out for support the second time.
I definitely can give that a go, because we had Sola and it was during COVID, and there was just literally no support in any departments. And Romeo, we had all access support. We got extra help. We got a lactation. We got the nanny. We got, night nurse, and then I had Joanna, of course. So any support that I could have had with my second child was a given. And of course, I didn't want to wait any longer because I was so sleep deprived with Romeo on my
Mhm.
second child. So I literally was just ready to call you the second we could get started. So
I
Yeah.
think it's really different too. It's, as you probably know best, that every child is different. And even if you've been through it once, it was a totally different experience. And yeah, even though we went through it the first time, it was almost like a new experience the second time.
Right.
yeah.
And even though I had been through it and had that knowledge, yeah, I don't think we could have very confidently say that we couldn't have done it as well or as quick or as whatever than doing it with you.
Exactly. And I love what you said, Mom, about like, kind of like life in COVID, first baby, second baby, not life in COVID, and this essence of support. And I like to think about sleep training as like, I'm here as your support team, just like you have a pediatrician, just like you have a lactation consultant, just like, you might have had your doula, or, maybe someone, like I'm part of the support team, right? So just because I work in the field of sleep, and some people have a negative association with sleep training,
Right.
it's like, I want to turn that on its head. I want to say, no, 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 this is sleep support, and it's
Yeah.
sleep support on behalf of of you guys. It's sleep support for the parents. So the parents are taking the right steps at the right pace, using the right methodology to meet the temperament of the child, so that you can end up with a well-rested child with good sleep skills, but not have it be harder on you or harder on the baby, right?
Right.
Like, it's support. It's meant to make everything easier. It's meant it to go smoother. And so I love the fact that you were like, hey, this is support, bring it on. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it, right? So thank you for emphasizing that, because that is such an important point,
Yes.
So if you met someone on the street that was like sleep deprived and overwhelmed, and they've been trying to sleep train on the edges, and they're Googling, and they're calling their sister, and they're talking to friends in their baby group, and they're still struggling, what would you want them to know about why asking for sleep support is the right thing to do?
I guess I would just break it down to the science of it all, just how it really is like clockwork. And as soon as you nail those wake windows and those appropriate times, it all just like flows like water. And it's really amazing. And that's what I didn't know or understand, is how really dialed it all is, if you can just start to experience and learn about your child, and then we kind of tailor everything towards them, and
Yes.
you said, it is more support versus the negative connotation that some people that aren't aware of all of this have, that think it's just like, oh, we're just going to disappear from the baby and walk away and not ever see him again. It's like, literally, we're here from them, and dad is in the room for the first several days to warm it all, keep the baby
Yeah.
comfortable. So
Yeah, it's like very much a family affair. Like,
yeah,
dad's the coach, mom's doing this. Like, it's extremely collaborative within the family system, and very customized for the baby, so that we minimize the tears. And it, like you said, like, we get it so dialed in that the learning comes online, so it like flows like water. So Pete, what would you say if you met a sleep deprived parent, and they're like, oh, my baby's not sleeping, what should I do? What would you say to them?
I think for me, it was at least on the first go around, when Embry kind of introduced the concept of a sleep coach, I was certainly a bit
Like, what?
yeah, I was like, huh, I've never even heard of that. But yeah, after having gone through it, or I mean, I think on the second go around with Romeo, it was like the second Embry was like, should we call Joanna? I was like, yeah, no brainer. So I think, not just and like Embry said, it's science. It truly is. So I think not not showing any signs of resistance, and just being open and going through the process. And it's literally just a matter of time. You start it, and within a couple weeks, your child will be sleeping, and that's it. And it'll be over, and you'll be happy, and it'll be the best thing ever.
Right. And it's not scary, right?
No, no, not scary at all.
And you didn't feel like guilty for doing it.
No, I think that was a big piece, and certainly a piece I think that Embry
Yeah, you're so ready. You're
was
just
worried about.
desperate.
Or, yeah, it was, I think everyone has their different ways and methods, but yeah, it was, some people just let their children cry it out, and that wasn't the way that we wanted to do it. And then, yeah, through the coaching and the methods that you do, and the ways that you teach, yeah, certainly zero guilt. It felt really natural and comfortable, and just a perfect transition.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, you guys. Well, it was a pleasure working with you twice.
Yes.
Oh, I shouldn't do that because then next thing you know, like,
Maybe a third, maybe a third.
No,
yeah,
no.
exactly. Right. Okay. Anyways, so thank you so much for sharing your success story and making people recognize that this is a beautiful, supportive process. And that you can put it in the bucket of like, just like your pediatrician lactation consultant, a sleep coach can be right there with you, making your parenting journey a lot easier. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Joanna.
much.
Thank you.